Hello and welcome to Filmi Ladies. It is one Miss Beth Watkins. Happy birthday! Happy
Thank
birthday, Beth!
you. The day
I
you
was con-
the day this comes out is my birthday.
I was contemplating doing a Shami Kapoor on you because why not? And I wanted to sing a song for you with all my pets next to me, with all of us wearing birthday hats, and I wanted to sing like "Happy Birthday to you." Maybe I'll still actually do it.
Right.
There are no guarantees. Anyway, so in honor of Beth's birthday, as you might know, Beth is a Gemini. This is the sign of the twins. And we all know how much Beth loves Manmohan Desai, 70s masala, and twins, especially the kind that get lost in the Kumbh Mela by irresponsible moms like Nirupa Roy and also circumstance. So we decided to do an episode on twins, which seems like the most Bethy episode ever. So I watched Sharmeelee, which I have many, many, many feelings about. And I kept spamming Beth and Amrita with all the beautiful screenshots I took. And I also rewatched Duplicate, which is one of my most favorite movies, even though it makes no sense. Um, and then I actually have no idea what Beth watched. She gave me some hints on WhatsApp, but she wouldn't tell me what it actually was.
It's been a journey. So I started out by rewatching Haseena Maan Jayegi with Shashi Kapoor and Babita. Two Shashis behind me are better than one.
Yes.
They're not twins. They just happen to be lookalikes.
Oh, so like Duplicate then.
So I kind of forgot and I was like, shoot. So I need to watch another one for actual siblings because I think that's kind of different. Different things are happening with that.
Right.
So then I watched Jeans.
I love
I
jeans.
had never seen before. And boy, do I have some thoughts on
Okay. Hopefully they're complimentary because I love jeans. I've seen it in Hindi, I've seen it in Tamil. I'm the only person who defends it when everyone else is telling me how bad. And my cousins have never forgiven me because I made all my cousins watch it first day, first show with me, and they're grateful. They still bitch about it.
I mean, it's a spectacle for sure. So seeing
Yeah.
theater should be fine no matter what your opinion of the film is. Then, well, or maybe before that, I was looking at a list of Indian films with twins in them, and I came across a Dharmendra film called Brace Yourself. It
Okay. Wow. Okay.
started to watch it and I couldn't. I just
Hmm.
couldn't do it because they were distinguishing the twins by one of them wearing brown face. And I was like, no, I don't think so. So Dharmendra
Oh
was
dear.
shoe polish, basically. So then I had time to watch another thing. And I thought, well, you could rewatch Chalbaz, even though you did
Yeah.
a few months ago, but I didn't do that. And instead, I somehow came across another Dharmendra film in which there are twins but one of them dies, and then that twin's ghost comes to motivate the other twin to help take revenge on the killers. And I thought that's creative and amazing. I love it.
Yeah.
And then I realized I've already seen that film. I'd forgotten that I'd seen it, despite how creative I think it is. So I did rewatch it. It's called Ghazab. Uh,
Okay.
I very much enjoyed it, and it's terrible. Both things are true.
Hmm.
And it is a remake of a Kamal Hassan film, as
Oh.
telling me. I did ask Twitter for their favorite uses of twins in films, and really everyone was like, "Oh, I want to know what other people say," but very few people actually responded. So
Oh.
I thought I'd have a wealth of fun examples to share with people, but I don't. There's also a Bengali film based on a comedy of errors that I want to see, but it does not have subtitles, and I figured with twins in the mix, it would be a little complicated.
Oh.
I would love to see Uttam Kumar play twins. I think that sounds great.
Oh.
If I ever find it with subtitles, I will surely watch it. Bronte Billis. Um,
Mm.
but in the meantime, I bring you Shashi, Ashwarya, and Dharampaji. So as you
That is quite a stellar lineup. So tell me about this Shashi Kapoor movie. They're doppelgangers, not twins.
correct, they're doppelgangers, not twins. One of them is rakish and a bit of a lout. I believe that's this one. I think you can tell by the posture.
Yeah.
That's one of the things I really love about this film is that they don't have any physical, it's not like one of them has a scar or whatever. So when they're both on screen, he changes his posture to represent which one,
Mm.
I really am impressed by that. I'm sure a lot of actors do that, but I was really noticing it coming off of our Shushy Fest from the last episode. I really enjoyed this film, even though it's kind of silly. Babita's costumes are A plus 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 plus. I know people give her a lot of crap for not being at all a good actor, but she has fun in clothes. And I think she even said something about herself about what I just want to wear fun costumes and I don't really
Yeah.
care. But I thought she was good in this for sort of like late 60s heroine who is confused by these two because the
Hmm.
rakish one is trying to undermine the romance of the good one. And
Mm.
Babita, and then she's all worried, like on my wedding night, how am I going to know which of you is which and stuff like that. And then they get sent to an Indo-Chinese conflict in the military.
Okay.
They're both in the cadet corps or whatever in university. They get in a fight. Spoiler alert for the next few minutes. The good one thinks he has killed the bad one.
Okay.
And so he goes back home again and he's so upset that he doesn't really know how to act. And so even when Babita is trying to figure out, is this my husband? Because news comes home that he's been killed in the war because they can't find him.
Mm.
Oh my God, is this guy my husband? He doesn't really pass the tests because he's so like unsure of what's going on with him and stuff that he was a killer that he fails the test. But in the end, the bad one actually comes back to the courtroom to prove that the good one, who's on the stand as being an imposter, is the good one. All is forgiven. The bad one apologizes. It all turns out okay in the end, but it's a pretty wild ride. And this is the film that has the great song Suno Suno, where Shashi does all these different roles in drag and plays a whole bunch
Hmm.
of kind of sort of women stock characters. There's other great songs in this film too. It's
Yeah.
cute and a little bit bonkers, and there's some good like acting exclamation point by Shashi in a few scenes. So I'm a fan of this film, even though it's arguably not superb.
Hmm. I feel like the phrase that you just used, where you said "cute but bonkers," I feel like that applies to pretty much all twin movies. Pretty
Probably.
much all twin movies. They're all bonkers. They always have some wild coincidences that defy logic. If only life worked the way that it does in these movies. Um, it's the same thing with Duplicate, right? Which I assume you have also seen.
I have, yeah.
And Duplicate is the same thing. It makes no sense. It is one of the zaniest movies I've ever seen. And Shah Rukh really is having so much fun, you can tell. Juhi is having fun, Sonali is having fun. The entire movie is just like bubbly and hilarious and illogical. Farida Jalal is so adorable as the
Yeah.
mom. I love the scene where the chef Shah Rukh, who is the good Shah Rukh, Bablu, is making all this food for a Japanese delegation. And then his mom comes and she tastes everything and she's like, "Isme to swad hi nahi hai." And then she puts all these like Punjabi masalas in it. And he's like, "Japanese log ye nahi khate." And she's like, "Kyun? Japanese logo ki maa nahi hoti? Maa ka khana. Everybody likes maa ka khana." And it's like the most insane movie ever, but it's so cute. And I actually think that for fans of Shah Rukh who think that he has a really good comic timing, and Juhi also has an excellent comic timing, this is a good movie because Shah Rukh really sort of sinks his teeth into the two characters of Bablu and Manu. Manu is very, very, very overplayed. Actually, Bablu is overplayed as well. I mean, this is one of those films that gets Shah Rukh the hammy and overacting tag. But honestly, I don't mind it because it's so over the top. It's a little bit like Badshah.
Yeah.
Like no one is watching Badshah because it makes sense. We're watching Badshah because it's ridiculous.
Yeah.
But it's fun and the songs are amazing. And every time I see a movie that has a like lovely soundtrack and I discover it's by Anu Malik, I'm like, but the songs are so good, especially Mere Mehboob Mere Sanam. Like that is one for the ages, and it's so cool to see like Sonali, Shahrukh, Juhi, and they're all dancing together, and they have these different personalities, and it's really great. And Shahrukh, in the scenes where he's pretending to be Manu and Bablu, or he's Manu pretending to be Bablu and Bablu
This
pretending to
is
be
so
Manu,
good.
so good. I mean, that's like a double layer of things going
Four roles,
on.
right?
He's basically four roles, and he's actually done it really well. And Duplicate is the movie that has all that interesting behind the scenes drama that happened that Karan Johar has spoken about, because this film was produced by Yash Johar and Mahesh Bhatt was the director, and he's credited as the director. But halfway during the film shooting, he became very like unresponsive. He stopped coming on sets. He wasn't shooting things like he should. And essentially, Shah Rukh had to like go into overdrive and help to get that film made, because otherwise the Johars would just have lost like an insane amount of money. And this is something that Karan Johar has spoken about sort of Mahesh Bhatt's unprofessionalism. And I'm like, it's
Mhm.
Mahesh Bhatt. Are we surprised?
Let me ask you, I was thinking about, so when I started watching this movie and remembered that they're duplicates and not twins, I was like, oh, because
Hmm.
they represent something different, I think, when they're lookalikes. And so I was trying to think about what is the point of them being lookalikes, uh, rather than siblings who are
I
separated.
I think with siblings, even if they were separated at birth, the audience is going to assume that because there's a genetic link between them, there's going to be some similarities, or maybe, like nature versus nurture. The nature part will kick in, even if one was raised by a daku and one was raised by like a school teacher or whatever, to go all Manmohan Desai on you. There's an assumption that, खून को recognize karega, because who needs DNA tests when you can just look at someone and that you shared a womb, you know so I think there's just that assumption, and it's easy for people to just sort of buy into it. Also, even if they don't sort of recognize each other, once they realize that they're siblings, it's like this feeling of family takes over. Whereas with doppelgangers, that's just a fluke, and they don't owe each other anything, and there's no relationship, and so they're like, well, I don't care about you, you're still a stranger, we have the same face, but I don't care. Because even in this movie, in Duplicate, towards the end, when Farida Jalal is trying to help in a very funny scene, she's trying to help the cops recognize who Manu is, who the criminal is, and they both have like flour all over them and they are unrecognizable. And she says that they should each like pull her, because like Bablu comes from a family of like wrestlers, and so he's strong, and so she's like, pull me. And then when she starts like whining in agony, at that point, Bablu lets go, because he's like, it's fine, I don't want to harm my mom. And then Manu keeps holding on to her. It's kind of like the Solomon story. And that's how she says, my Bablu would, he let me go because he couldn't see his mother in pain. So
Mhm.
it's kind of like, even in that moment, Manu doesn't care about Farida
Right.
Jalal. He's like, whatever, you're some random woman. And in the very next scene, when she proves to the police that this is Manu, he puts a gun to her head. And then, of course, Sonali Bendre shoots him, so all is well. So I think with doppelgangers, it's like there's never a guarantee that the bad doppelganger is going to suddenly turn nice. Whereas with
Sure.
the sibling, even the slightly naughty or the gray sibling will come to the rescue of the good sibling, such as in Chalbaz,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. I was also thinking about what it means psychologically to realize that someone could take your place or be mistaken for you, which happens in this movie, and it happens in, of course, the best example of that to me is Fan.
Yes. Also,
They're not related
Paheli.
at all. And Paley, right, right. They're not related at all, but someone, being able to take your place is very unnerving, very
Hmm.
stabilizing and all that kind of thing. And because this Haseena Manjayegi takes place with this war in the backdrop, as I was just thinking about, like, what does it mean if China, you know,
Hmm.
takes on some of India or is red
Hmm.
India or something like that. So that was kind of fun to think about.
Yeah. There's actually a really old movie. I've seen it. It's called Somersby. Have you heard of this movie? Um,
Yes, that rings a bell.
I think it has Helen Hunt in it, or is it Jodie Foster? I forget, but I saw it a really long time ago, and that had a really interesting premise as well. So she's married. It's like a period drama
Yes, it's Jodie
set in
Foster,
England.
if you
It's Jodie
recall.
Foster,
Yeah,
right? And I
so
forget who the actor is. Is it
it's
Daniel
Richard
Day
Gere,
Lewis?
isn't it?
It might be Richard Gere. That's probably why I saw it, because I think Richard Gere is so hot. And the premise of that movie is that, so the man is called Somersby, and Jodie Foster lives by herself, and her husband's gone to war, and then she thinks she's a widow, just whatever. And then one day he comes back, and the whole movie is about her wondering if he is actually her husband or not. So a
Right.
little bit of that Paheli thing happening, but it's a much more like psychological drama, and it's not romantic, and it's shot so well. It's like dark and dingy and
Yeah.
drafty in the house that they live in, like a very dark, moody palette. Very interesting movie, actually. I would recommend for people who haven't seen
I
it.
have seen that, but it's been a really long time. I'd forgotten. Oh, and Bill Pullman is in it. Oh,
Yes.
Pullman. Yeah. Mm.
So, what do you think about the movies where it's an actual twin? Because you saw Jeans.
That
Yay!
movie is so bananas.
It is.
I know we've talked in some other discussions about the role of bad parenting.
Yes.
But oh, Nasser's whole edict about how my sons will have to. So if you don't know the story, because I didn't, twin
Mhm.
boys, dad's from India. They were born in India, but they moved to the US. They are very successful restaurateurs. The two boys are both studying medicine.
Right.
Ashwarya and her grandmother and her brother, both of whom are annoying to the max, come to the US for grandma to have a surgery. It gets botched.
Mhm.
Um, and one of the two twin medical student boys like catches it and tells the hospital like, oh, they're going to sue, and like he fixes it somehow, and like they get
Right.
money. He and Ashwarya fall in love, but then Nasser, their dad, is like, my boys must marry twins also, and here's why. And he goes into his backstory because he's a twin, so there's two sets of twins there. And then his brother married a really horrible woman who caused all this rift in the family, and his wife died in childbirth, and maybe because of the other woman. And so therefore his
Right.
parents married twins because always siblings always get along. That's a thing that's known, right?
Right.
So then grandma is like, oh, but it's fine. My granddaughter is actually a twin too, but because of her dad being superstitious, we whisked one of them away to be raised in a Brahmin household.
Mhm.
So you can go to India, we can meet them. So poor Aishwarya has to play twins, even though she's not really one. Hijinks ensue, early computer animation ensues. I really enjoyed the songs in this,
The
and I have seen that
songs.
before, of course. It's a Raman soundtrack, but I just I was very annoyed by a lot of this film.
Yeah.
But also things like I am, I can fully admit, probably overly sensitive about like American portrayals of America in
Right.
American films. And like, that's pretty frustrating in this. Like, the part of the drama happens when the family is having trouble getting into the US because they have lost
Mhm.
the address of where they're going to stay. And customs always asks you, what's your address?
Right.
India does that when you're coming in as a foreigner.
Right.
That like, and they can't find it. But one of the two boys who's dropping off catering for a plane happens to be there.
Okay.
They're like, oh my God, an Indian boy, and he like interjects, and he basically says to the customs officer, oh, they're with me. They're from my country. It's fine. And the customs officer lets them in. And you're like,
Right.
this is before 9/11, but still.
Right.
That's how anybody's customs works. But I get that films have wish fulfillment, and then we all wish that it was that easy to
Right.
right. But anyway, there's just all this very silly. Although this film is not like, oh, the West is evil, not at all.
Right.
But it is just extremely silly. But the songs are fun.
Yeah.
I love the Antakshari scene where, and then
Yeah.
Yasser is singing Yama Yama from Sean. Like, I didn't expect that at all, and I was like, ah, yes. I
You're
really,
like the one good decision you've made in this movie now, sir.
I really enjoy Nasser. I just watched Killer Soup that he's in, and
Oh,
was reminded of how good he is. So that was really fun. The lead guy who I haven't seen very many Tamil films.
Ajit.
No, it's not. It's oh my God, I
It's
can't
not
even
Ajit?
remember his name. It is Prasanth.
Okay.
I had for some reason thought it was Ajit also, but at least,
Yeah.
yeah.
Maybe Ajit and Prasant are
Are
doppelgangers.
I did see the Hindi dub, so maybe that's what's going
Right.
on here. I didn't think he was the most charismatic of he's okay, but I
Yeah.
don't know. The
I don't think there's
mostly the
anyone.
grandmother.
What's that?
It was mostly the grandmother because her whole thing about
Mm.
lying about, oh, my daughter's also a twin, just, again, if
Yeah.
the parenting entered in, things wouldn't happen, but she was a lot to, oh, and when she's coming into the country, they don't let her bring any of her like perishable foods in because of course they don't. She's like, well, I'd rather die than live without pickle. Like she's in Los Angeles. You don't think there's pickle in Los Angeles? Come on. So anyway, not,
um,
not a movie for me, but excellent deployment of twins, obviously.
yes.
Top note.
I don't think there is a person alive who has watched Jeans for the dude. Just FYI. Anyone who has ever seen this movie has seen it for Aishwarya. And as a diehard Aishwarya fan, when I was little and I knew that Aishwarya was doing a movie, and at the time that this movie was being promoted, they kept promoting it as the movie that was shot at like the Seven Wonders of the World or
Sure.
whatever. And that song where she's dressed in all those outfits was like all the rage. And so I was like, wait, so for my one movie ticket, I get to see two Aishwaryas and she's in all these amazing outfits? Like, yes. Also, you don't know this about me, but all of the people who have to deal with me on a regular basis know that on Columbus Day, I always sing Columbus, Columbus, Chutti Hai Aayi.
Gotta. Yeah.
Like, it is the best song ever. It is important to sing. But I also love Aishwarya's song at the end where the two twins are dancing. I love that one too.
Yeah.
So it's just a zany, silly movie, but it
It is.
is a movie for Aishwarya fans, basically.
And I consider myself a fan, not as much as you are,
Mm.
but I do like her. Yeah, this was for some reason, this is a film I've known about my whole time watching Indian films because it was still, I think, beloved when I kind of first started watching and people loved the songs and would talk about that.
Yeah.
So I think I had kind of built it up in my head to more than it was, but it is excellent twin
Yeah.
movie for
It's
sure.
not it's not a movie that people talk about because they think it's a good movie. Just to clarify, it's a movie that people talk about either because they enjoy it despite all its stupidity, such as myself, or it's a movie that people talk about because they want to rant about how bad it is. So it's usually, I don't think there's any person that I've ever heard say that, oh my God, Jeans is like such a brilliant film. It's just one of those movies that is just entertaining, kind of like Duplicate, same thing. Like no one's ever going to say Duplicate is like great cinema or whatever. Um, Jeans also made the news for a really stupid reason. The year it was released, it was India's entry for foreign language film for Oscars. And it was clearly just like corruption going on because
How on
the
earth?
it was the Amrit Raj guy. So one of the Amrit Raj brothers is the producer of this movie. And at that time, one of the Amrit Rajas was also actively lobbying in Hollywood or something. Like there's some connection, but it was basically only because of the Amrit Rajas that it was, yeah, like it's laughable, but it was in the news for that reason also.
I just want to share a couple things from reviews of this film on Letterboxd. Um, someone called, let's see, NRH says, one of the most fascinating responses by a regional film culture to a rapidly globalizing model, so drunk on its own power as spectacle, all seven wonders of the world, that it is easy to take the contradictions for granted. You can put dreams on film, but not all dreams are easy. The family unites at the end, but who is left out ends with the skeleton dancing, which isn't a metaphor, but what's on screen.
Right.
um, yeah, there's some good takes on this film.
I've also
One of them,
never understood why it's called jeans.
no, it
Like
doesn't. I mean,
there's
genetic.
no connection.
Yeah.
Like what?
Uh, there's white people, and then there's white people who were against their will background characters in Gene. Prasant was the original simp. Why are you so H word for a woman who looks exactly like your sister-in-law?
Oh.
They submitted this to the Oscars, so somewhere out there is a committee of members who viewed this and then did not nominate it. Prashant gave up 7 different projects to film this for a whole year. How did none of his outfits qualify in comparison to Aishwarya's?
Aishwarya had some amazing outfits in this movie, I remember. You know
Yeah.
that song Toba Toba Ye Jalve? She's
Yeah.
wearing this like red choli and green ghagra with like a green dupatta. Oh, she looks like a goddess. I was in love with that outfit.
And then one person says, the F happened to medical school.
Yeah.
And then partway through, like it's, oh, and then this is my favorite. by Sydney on Letterboxd feel like the skeletons and the dinosaur and the Barbie dream house and the seven wonders of the world overshadowed the real heart of this, which is Aishwarya collecting her crush's garbage and making a deranged wall hanging craft out of it and using it to get through airport security.
Maybe she's actually a magpie. Maybe she's like a
Yeah,
shape-shifting crow or something. We've seen enough each other. Oh my God, can you imagine if Aishwarya had done like a Nagin movie?
not too late.
It would be, she should still do it. We've seen how great a villainess she was in Ponniyin Selvan. She should do a Nagin movie. I don't believe in manifestation, but if I did, I would try to manifest this. Every morning I'd be like, oh universe, please make Aishwarya a Nagin, make my dreams come true. Did you watch any other twin movie, or were these two just like
No, I watched
enough?
Ghazab, the
Oh
Dharmendra,
yeah.
ghost film, which I kind of fast forwarded through the first part, to be honest, because the first twin we meet is, I don't know what the right word to use is here. I'm going to say simpleton of some kind. He's
Mm,
got buck teeth and like a really doofy haircut. He's the son of a rich guy, and bad people led by Ranjit, of course. Ranjit's really been a star in the podcast lately, so I'm
he
glad
has.
um, that they kill off the father and then kill him off with the kind of inadvertent help of Aruna Irani and Jagdeep, who I usually hate Jagdeep. I find him way too much, but they're really cute in this film, I thought.
Mm,
They don't really know what exactly they've gotten themselves into. And they so again, spoiler alert briefly, and this is, sometimes these films throw you with how violent they are. So
mm.
Dharmendra's character is thrown off a cliff, but then Rekha, who is his love interest, has
Wait,
witnessed.
Rekha's in this movie?
Yes. And Dharmendra
Wow.
and
Okay.
Rekha are a really weird pair. Now that I see them, I was like, I don't like that and I love both of them, so I don't know what it is, but that was not quite right. And this is the early 80s, so it's not like the age difference is as visual as it is in other times, right? She, basically loses her mind with grief and horror.
Mm.
And there's a little boy that they're all kind of friends with, and the bad guys cut out his tongue so he can't speak. So for the rest of the movie, he, is miming and stuff. And this poor kid does a really amazing job at miming to avenging Dharmendra what happened. So he's like, like they cut out my tongue, and then like Reka like went crazy, and then the other like, oh, it's blunt, but it works. It's 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 deranged. I remember that when I first watched this film, I was watching it because someone had told me that it was kind of Dharmendra as the Hulk.
Mm.
Because there's a scene where the ghost, like he's being beaten down by all the avenging Dharmendra is about to lose the big battle in the villain lair or the temple or whatever. And you're like, we all know this won't happen. It's Dharmendra, but
No.
he calls the ghost to come like inhabit him so he can double his strength, and his muscles burst out of the shirt and everything. I was like, oh,
Nice.
why I watched this. I just told it was the Hulk. And it kind of is in that moment. And he like, is able to yank chains and pull down these big stone pillars and all this stuff. It's very satisfying.
That's
I
actually fun.
watch it, but it's goofy, and you could watch the second half and probably be okay. Like the first half is painful, but
Right. Does Rekha have enough of a role in it or no? It's just
no, not at all. She has a
a
really cute
waste.
song where she is kind of imitating different animals. So like a deer hops by and she does this great little hop, and like there's
Oh,
a duck and she does the, you know,
oh,
with her head. It's really cute. But no, she's basically wasted. It could have been anyone. And then she and Avenging Dharmendra do get married at the end.
oh,
But yeah, it's a
nice.
weird couple and I don't care for it.
This movie would be such a good movie, though, for if someone were playing a game of dumb charades when you go away with your friends, like to your cabin or whatever. Yeah. People are like, what got into bed? She's suddenly very violent.
I will say that I think the twin usage is creative here.
Yeah.
Even though I had seen it before, I had forgotten. Ghost twin as ghost is fun. And then someone was telling me there's a Salman film that is similar called Hello Brother, which I have not seen. And
Yes, I've seen Hello Brother, and it was a movie I picked one time when Khandan wanted me to be a guest, and Sujoy was pleased with my choice, and Amrita was like cussing me out on WhatsApp because she was like, "Why did you pick Hello Brother?" I was like, "Y'all told me I could pick whatever I wanted."
I made them do duplicate. So we are
Good.
them with the twin movie. We should link to both those episodes in our notes.
I'm amazed they're still friends with us. Why are they still friends with us?
I know, they're very nice to us.
So like you told me on WhatsApp that when you made Khandan do duplicate, they all hated it. You said, why did they hate
That's what I
duplicate?
remember because it's bad. I mean,
Is it though?
I mean,
Is it bad? I think it's pretty good.
it's not as bad as some of what they watch, and at least it has Shark times two. So,
Exactly.
but
And
some,
Juhi and Sonali and good songs.
yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So can I talk about Sharmeelee? Woo!
Let me first just interject that people who don't know this about me, I have a vintage Sharmeelee poster that I had professionally framed. It's hanging in my living room. It is one of my treasures. If my house was on fire, I would take the pet and my passport and that poster, honestly. Like, I
Right.
love this film so much, and I'm so glad Pitu was going to do. I would have watched it if she hadn't. Let's get
Right.
into the best.
So I somehow have never watched Sharmili before, which I don't know how it is. When I was telling my mom on the phone, I was like, "Oh, I just watched Sharmili today," because I had to like talk about it with someone. And my mom goes, "You've never seen Sharmili?" And I was like, "No." And she was like, "It's a wonderful movie." And she spent like, and my mother is not a movie buff, just FYI, but she spent like 2 minutes wondering how I've never seen this film, and yet I watched all the crap that I regularly watch. And I was like, I don't know. So somehow Sharmili has always skipped me, which is insane because I love Shashi Kapoor. I don't particularly have strong feelings about Rakhi, but it's like, it's not like I dislike her. And the music of this movie is so good. And it's a romantic movie. So it's like, why had I not seen it? So I initially wanted to watch Sharmili for our Shashi Kapoor episode. But then when we decided we were going to do a twins episode, I was like, you know what, let me hold off and I'll just do it for this episode instead. Oh my God. First of all, that movie, every single frame from start to finish is beautiful. My finger was just tired, just like doing all the screen caps and spamming people with pictures. And I was like, it should be illegal to look as good as Shashi Kapoor and Rakhi do. I mean, the woman looks like a doll, first of all. She doesn't even look like a human being, both as Kamini as well as Kanchan. She's so stunning. And Shashi Kapoor is just, I think this is the most handsome and the most charming and the most adorable and hero like he is in all of the films I've seen. And I've seen a lot of his films where he's like, romantic hero, chocolate boy types. But this one, he's really like outdone himself. And I actually thought Rocky was really good because my exposure to Rocky is primarily as Durjan, Mere Bete Aayenge, Mere Karan Arjun Aayenge. Like I think of her as sort of like the weepy Ma, which were the later roles she did. So my brain does not understand Rocky as romantic heroine because I also know her from like Kabhi Kabhi and stuff. But again, she's not like romantic heroine in Kabhi Kabhi. She's like mother of grown child person in there. But I was just astounded by how amazing she was. She inhabited both characters. Kanchan, who's the shy, innocent, naive, sweet one, whose character was very reminiscent of Sharmila Tagore's character from Anupama. Just kind
Mm.
of this forest sprite kind of a person who it was almost like a Disney movie where Belle or Snow White or whatever, they all the birds come near them and the bunny rabbit and everything, and it's like Kanchan is in the woods and it's so beautiful. It's all shot in Himachal Pradesh, so it's like Kulu Manali and snow and meadows and all these little wild animals that she is around. So that character was so beautifully done. And then Kamini, who is like, she's studying and she's doing her master's and she wears these little outfits and she's sassy and she's like, sexy and everything. And it was just amazing. Everything about this movie was good, with the exception of one thing, which I found very, very disappointing, which is towards the end when Shashi is upset with Kamini slash Kanchan, or is it Kamini playing Kanchan, playing Kamini? I don't even know anymore. He slaps her.
Yeah.
And I was like, Ettu Shashi. That was very disappointing and unhappy moment making for me. But other than that, the movie was great. I did not see the twists coming. I don't want to give away any spoilers because I really think that if somehow people have been living under a rock like I have, if they have not seen Sharmili, oh my God, do yourself a favor, go watch Sharmili. So I won't tell you the spoilers, but there is a very interesting twist in it
Mhm.
regarding the 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 more sassy, feisty twin that I did not see coming. And also, this is Ranjit's debut movie
Yeah,
as villain.
yeah.
And he was really good, I thought, as well.
Yeah.
Although, of course, he was infuriating and I wanted to throttle him, his character was. But otherwise, the movie was really great. Tell me why you love Sharmeelee.
I love Sharmeelee for all those reasons as well. I think as a text, it's very interesting. Uh, it's easy to focus on the differences represented by the two twin women, but also Shashi's character is kind of, I'm not going to say he's bifurcated, but
Mm,
he is a soldier in the army, but he's also a poet, and he has these lovely songs with the rose and everything.
yeah.
And it takes interesting kind of turns with what he's responding to about the two women and what version of himself is there, and then kind of like, can the self be divided or does it need to collapse in? And like there's kind of stuff about concept of self and some things like that I think are going on. And I'm assuming this too is a metaphor for India in some way. Like, is that
Hmm.
this is not like long lost siblings representing partition, but
Hmm.
there's other stuff happening here, I think, about, and maybe not even specific to India, just sort of the crises of the various many social and political crises of the late 60s, you know,
Hmm.
causing a lot of people to feel disintegrated, probably. And I feel like that's really happening in this film. And you don't, when you walk into it, I don't think you expect that, because you're like, it's a cute 60s romance with, um, and like, yes, it comes out in the 70s, but it feels more like a 60s film. And we all
Yeah,
know decade things are quite arbitrary. Like, it's not like, oh, 1970 happened and suddenly everyone's angry. Like,
right.
but so it's got a little bit of a transition feel, a little bit like Aga Le Lag Ja, actually. So,
Yeah.
feels a little more 60s than 70s. Um, yeah, I just think it's fascinating, and it is so beautiful. And the songs by Esty Burman are lovely. I've never I like Rocky, but this is her best work in my opinion. I think she does a really great job distinguishing these two people.
Hmm.
Nazir Hussain as the sort of father figure is also delightful, I think.
Hmm.
It's just fun. It's fun.
I thought Sharmila was going to be super fluffy and rom-commy going in, and the twist definitely took me by surprise. And it actually reminded me of another movie, which is a Shashi movie that I actually hate. But this movie is an example of how that same concept can be tackled better.
Mhm.
But the movie I'm thinking of is actually Satyam Shivam Sundaram, because Satyam Shivam Sundaram, as loathsome as it is, also has a similar idea of a man falling in love with someone literally, but also falling in love with the idea that they have of them. And
Yeah.
this movie has the same thing where it's like, despite, so okay, fine, he was in love with Kamini, the personality, because let's face it, Kamini's personality is more enjoyable and entertaining. She can actually have a conversation.
Well,
She
and
doesn't
that's
just
the thing.
hide behind things.
The movie is named The Shy Girl, right? For a reason. It's
Yeah.
because Punchman, she's not just shy, she's pathological. Like, she cannot
Hmm.
talk to strangers. She can't do it. There's something deeply wrong
She's
in
extremely
her.
anxious,
Yeah.
which is why I compared it to Anupama. Like,
Yeah.
calling her the shy girl is actually, that is an understatement. This is a kid that
Right.
needs to go to, or this is a woman who needs to go to therapy. Like, she has severe social anxiety. Same like Sharmila's character. If you can't even like look someone in the eye, and you can't make, like, in another era and culture, she would have been a shut in essentially.
Yeah.
But so yeah, I don't know why it's called a shy girl. It's, you need to go to therapy, girl. And I don't mean that in an unkind way. I mean,
No, she needs help.
it's almost like, I want to know what's the backstory. Like, why are these two girls who are raised under the same household? One of them is like quote unquote regular, and the other one seems to have all this like anxiety locked up in there, where they've like essentially caged themselves completely. And just, they won't speak, they won't look. And I'm like, what happened to you? It's almost like someone who's been traumatized, I want to say. um, but yeah, so he falls in love with the more fun, regular, intelligent, the person who's going to school. Like, of course he's attracted to that girl, I get it. But then, he gets married to Kanchan, and she's honest about it. She's honest about the role reversal that happens. But then he refuses to even give her a chance. And at that point, I was like, okay, fine, then like divorce her. If you think she sucks so much, just divorce her, but don't be cruel to her. But he keeps thinking of his love for Kamini. And even when Kanchan takes on sort of like the avatar of Kamini. Then he likes her, but when he discovers it's not her, it's kind of like, what do you want, man? You're just impossible at this point. But it really reminded me of Satyam Shivam Sundaram. And in Satyam Shivam Sundaram, one of the infuriating things about it is that it is in some ways valorized is not the word that I'm looking for. Validated, maybe? Like his behavior is kind of like validated, like, well, yeah, of course. But in this one, I like that he does get called out for his behavior. Um, but it was very interesting, this whole idea of like, and I wonder why Shashi Kapoor has done two films like this, where it's like, whom you love and the idea of whom you love. Like, have you heard that phrase where people say, he doesn't really love anyone, he's in love with the idea of love? It made me think of that. So
Yeah.
it's an interesting movie. I would love to see this movie with like a psychologist or like a marriage counselor or a therapist. I feel like they could give us such like juicy knowledge and tidbits that we would not be able to sort of access on our own, right?
Mm-hmm.
I was also surprised that the music is by S.D. Burman, because I could have sworn it's an R.D. Burman soundtrack. I mean, I know they're father and son, but like my favorite S.D. Burman songs have like a very different sound to them. They sound a lot more folkloric. And this feels much more like an R.D. Burman soundtrack, but gorgeous songs. Rocky's wardrobe. Oh my God, Beth.
Talk.
Her saris are so pretty. There's an aquamarine sari she wears in Aaj Madhosh Hua Jaye, and she looks so stunning in that. Her jewelry, everything is so pretty. Shashi looks so good in all of his outfits. Shashi in an army officer uniform absolutely 100% has my heart. It's just a really, really good, solid entertainer, except for the slapping part.
I love her. There's a scene where Bad Twin is sitting on a sofa. She's very proud of herself or something and smoking. And
Yeah,
he just looks like, I mean, I am pretty hardcore anti-smoking, but man, she looks
right.
cool.
Yeah.
I also really I love her very mod outfit. So she's got like
Yes.
short skirt and go-go boots a few times and things like that. Yes, she looks amazing in all the different outfits that they give
in
her.
the
There's a
in the
swimsuit
spoilery
one part where
scene in the spoilery scene with Ranjit, she was actually wearing these snakeskin go-go boots, and I was like, oh,
yeah.
that was a great outfit. I like her wigs too. Like some of the shorter wigs that she's worn are really cool. And then there was this very 60s, like when they're at the pool and she's wearing like this chocolate brown one-piece swimsuit, but then she has like a little cover up on top of it, like a floral duster sort of a thing. That was really good too.
One of the things I love about this movie is that both the twins, and I think you can argue both of the hero sort of facets, they're flawed.
Yes.
Everyone's flawed in this movie. And that's a nice change of pace from someone being held up, because you kind of go in thinking like, oh, the shy one is going to be the good one,
Mm.
100%, no questions asked, whatever, whatever. But I think this film is clear that Kanchan is has problems, right? Like, it's not just that she's sort of polite and deferring. She's really kind of crippled by anxiety and things like that, which is
Hmm.
not her fault, but like
Right.
she is not held up as perfect, but neither is the other one. Like, and that's
Right.
better integration of these things is necessary to be a good self, a good nation, a good culture, like whatever we're representing.
Right.
Um, yeah, so and that the hero finds something worthy in both versions, which is also,
Hmm.
if the hero approves, then that's a mark of something. That's kind of amazing, I think.
Yeah. It also has a scene of drunk Shashi, and there's all these like bottles and glasses wallowing in self pity. And I said that to you and Amrita, and the caption was "How to Kapoor 101."
How do you feel about the wedding night scene? Because they're both
Oh,
there. It's so sexy.
it is so sexy, but it's also so explosive, because that scene where, well, this is going to go into spoiler territory, but let's just say it's
Yeah.
so explosive. I mean, at first they look so gorgeous and he's grinning at her and he's so happy and she's so happy because, she wants to marry him and all of that. And then the other shoe drops, and then you're like, oh my god, and it just switches around like that. It's actually, the direction is really deft. And I looked up the director. I forget his first name, but his last name is Ganguly. And I looked up his filmography, and I was like, I don't know this person, but I've seen at least two other films in his very, very short filmography. I think he's only essentially done like 5 or 6 movies.
I actually have it.
Um,
It's 9.
okay.
For mainstream Hindi is not that many.
It's not a lot, and I don't feel like he's well known or anything. But Sharmeelee is like such a good movie. I was like, why didn't this person do more? Who is this person? But it was really good direction, I thought, because it could have been very, very tricky. And Shashi, I feel, is really good at portraying characters where he's problematic and flawed, and yet at the same time you can kind of tell that he's hurting. And so it's really hard to hate him, which is
Yeah.
a little unfair. Like, talk about pretty privilege, right?
Yeah.
Like, even when I know I should hate him, it's very difficult for me to hate him, except for the slapping scene where I did hate him. But he can play a cad like no other, and I still have a soft spot for
Mhm.
Also, Iftikhar is in this movie, our very favorite. And he's not a cop, but he's an army officer. Iftikhar always has to be in a uniform of some sort, though. He's either a cop or he's an army officer, or occasionally he's a doctor, and then he's wearing like a lab coat or like a doctor's medical coat or whatever. But there is such a funny, unintentionally funny scene in this movie. I was just laughing. So Shashi Kapoor is being very hammy in this scene where he's in the hospital, and of course there's like 2 or 3 nurses and a doctor and everyone around him, and they're trying to treat him, and he's like, nahi nahi main mar jana chahta hu, nahi nahi, like he's like, he doesn't want any treatment. He's literally writhing on the hospital bed. He's like, nahi nahi mujhe mar jane do.
Big baby.
He's such a baby. And then if the car walks into the hospital room in his like vardi, and he's like, stop it. And Shashi Kapoor stops.
Do I remember right that his character is an orphan
Yes.
raised by
His
the priest?
dad, yeah, his dad was friends with the priest. And so the priest kind of like, sort of like raised him. And
I mean, an orphan
Kanchan,
and twins in the same movie? Like,
I
wow.
mean, what in the Manmohan Desai? The spirit of Manmohan Desai will be so pleased.
So pleased.
But yeah, like that was amazing. I was like, Iftikhar should just like make a career out of like just walking into people's rooms and going, stop it. And then they stop.
So I know that you have resisted seeing the Feroz Khan remake of The Godfather.
I do want to watch it. It's on my ever expanding
And
list.
we should maybe just do an episode on it because it's epic.
Sure.
Iftikhar plays Tom Hagen,
Oh, interesting.
the lawyer.
Right. But see, he's always like a professional
Yeah,
person with like authority. I
he's
mean,
white collar. You
he's
know,
always,
yeah,
he ain't no Mazdoor. He ain't no AK Hungal either.
no.
I don't think Iftikhar would know how to like break down in tears. I don't think I've ever seen Iftikhar cry on screen. Like, that would be interesting.
Angry, we've seen him kind of resigned. We've seen him
Hmm.
displeased.
Hmm.
I'm not mad, I'm just disappointed.
Yeah. Mostly he's just very stoic.
So, mhm. He occasionally laughs. Yeah.
And he's usually like the voice of reason. Like in Kalajar Kal, when Raj Kapoor is really hamming it up, and Iftikhar is just playing it smooth, and you're like, wow.
He's at least the voice of the system and or status quo. Like
Yeah.
we may know that the law is wrong in this case, but like you got a law, you know?
Yeah, exactly. He's always like on the straight and narrow, and just that person basically. Oh,
Well, I
he's
have,
also played judge a couple of
yeah,
times.
and I've seen him as a master criminal at least once, I think more than once, in the amazing, amazing film Gadar from the 70s, where he and Prawn are
Mm.
really good friends. They're like gang of thieves and they're buddies. And it's like all I want is for Iftikhar and Prawn to be friends and things.
But was he believable as a criminal? I just can't see
Yeah.
him as a criminal. Oh,
It's like a jewel thiefy, plan the heist kind of
ah,
guy, not a beat people up kind of guy. Other,
right.
Ranjit is in the group, and I think yeah, it's more of a heist kind of thing.
Okay. Yeah. See, even in criminaling, he's still like high, like white collar and like classy. Won't get his manicure dirty. So tell me, what are your top like twin movies just in general.
I mean, Sharmeelee is one, Chalbaz is
Yes.
one. I do enjoy Sita or Gita, but because I love Sri Devi way more than I love Hema Malini, I
Yeah.
really do prefer Chalbaz. Also, I mean the song in the rain is everything where she's dancing around with the band. And I've never liked Sunny Deol more than in this movie. I think he's
Yeah.
so good in that film. He's really wonderful. Everyone is amazing. But yeah, just I mean, Sri Devi is everything. You know, she is just I love her so much I can't use words.
Just a live wire,
Yeah.
really.
Um, and I do love Dharamveer by Manmohan Desai, of course. So that's Jitendra and Dharmendra are actually royal twins that are separated, and a baby saves one of them as Jivan throws it out the window. Like, what more do you want? And of
I
course,
know.
he's raised by Pran in the woods. Like, it's great.
Hey, isn't, oh no, they're not twins. I was just gonna say, doesn't Parvarish have twins, but they're just brothers.
Brothers.
Boring. Brothers is
Uh,
boring
yeah, yeah,
in comparison.
yeah,
I kept wishing that Karan Arjun was twins, but they're
yeah,
not. They're brothers and they're reincarnated. I love Karan Arjun so much. That's like one of my favorite movies.
yeah.
It's amazing. Um, Twin movies. Which ones do I like? Actually, I really like Dokaliya, which is I want. I would actually say Parent Trap is probably a remake of Dokaliya, and it has Neetu Singh in it, and she's a child actor, and she is hilarious.
Yeah.
Like she is the funniest child actor ever, and she's so adorable and precocious. So I like Dokaliya a lot. Of course, I love Chalbaz as well. I've
The
never particularly.
record Do Kalyan is several years after Parent Trap.
Oh, it is. Wait, which Parent Trap though? Not the Lindsay Lohan one.
1961.
Oh, because I've only seen the Lindsay Lohan.
Oh yeah, no, Haley Mills
Oh,
is
I've not seen that.
yeah.
Okay. I don't particularly care for either Ram or Sham or Sita or Gita because I just don't think either Dilip Kumar or Hema Malini are funny.
Yeah, Dilip Kumar definitely is good at drawing distinctions between the characters and everything. I thought about rewatching that for that, and I was like, nah, I want to watch Dharmendra play a ghost.
Yeah, exactly. That sounds so much better. Yeah, Ram or Sham is just kind of like eh. And then Sita or Gita is kind of like eh. Um,
That's one reason I'm really disappointed I couldn't find that Bengali one because that Comedy of Errors, right? That's going to be really fun, and I know Uttam Kumar will just absolutely kill it. I know he'll be great, so I do want to.
and it's Uttam Kumar, so it's twin eye candy.
Right, right,
Yeah.
right.
But I mean there's no way you would understand that without subtitles.
No, and I understand Bengali way less than I understand Hindi. So there's just
Right.
I thought about it and I was like, if for funsies maybe, but for the podcast, no, I'll do proper.
I mean, technically, Josh is also a twin movie
Yep.
because they're fraternal twins, and
But
I
it
do
doesn't
enjoy
matter at
Josh.
all, right?
Yeah,
There's no reason they could even just be friends, I think, in Josh. It
yeah.
doesn't really matter that they're siblings, but it's fine. Um, but yeah,
It's
twins,
not like it's not relevant to the
no,
story.
no.
Yeah,
Twins are such a fun way to just sort of up like you were saying, the connectedness that we all assume will be there by the end, even if it's not there in the beginning. Plus the whole, partition metaphors are
yeah.
great.
I mean, there definitely is something to say, though, like as hokey as it may sound, about the whole idea of finding out that someone might be family. For example, I've had an account on 23andMe since like the beginning of time, like when they were in their beta stage or whatever. And like just yesterday, for instance, I got another like a connection request from someone, and this woman looks 100% Caucasian,
Mhm.
but she's not. And some of the last names that she's mentioned, like, where you enter the last names in your family, she has about two last names in common with me. And she apparently is like a second cousin. And so I accepted her request. And I'm kind of like, who is this person? So, like, there's an immediate sense of connectivity, right? Where it's kind of like, who are you? Maybe I am connected with you. How do we possibly have the same surname? So there definitely is, like, these twin movies do tap into this human need that we all have to be like have this like sense of belonging. And I think cinematically just makes so much sense, especially if people are antagonists and they discover that they're twins, and then suddenly it's like a switch gets flipped and suddenly they're like, bye.
So do you prefer films where the twins are played by the same person or where the twins are played by different people?
No, twins where they're the same person.
Yeah, because
They're just more fun.
yeah, and there's always, why not get double hero, especially for your money as a producer, I'm sure, but
I think twin movies are probably also very attractive for actors to portray, right? Because it's such an opportunity to inhabit two characters and show off your acting skills, especially in the scenes where the two interact with each other. And it's probably like a time-tested way of like proving you're a good actor or whatever.
Yeah, definitely.
I wish
Definitely.
there was a twin movie starring Bebo, but the question is, can we handle the awesomeness that would be Bebo, like two Bebos? I don't think we could.
You imagine like Pooh and then the woman from Johnny John being
Oh yeah.
so we know she can make different characters, but that would be
Right.
our heads might explode.
Can we imagine Pooh being a baker in Kalimpong? No, we cannot. Okay, did you have any parting notes about twins or about any of the movies that you have seen? I know you want to see that Bengali movie, but is there any other twin film you want to see or no?
I'm sure there are. Actually seeing the Kamal Hassan original of the Dharmender one that I watched would be good. I'm sure. I've seen very few Kamal Hassan films, but I like him quite a bit. Um, I don't know. I know there's a lot of them out there. I would be interested in trying to track down whatever the earliest one is in India and see whatever language it's from. That would be interesting to see like,
Oh, the earliest twin movie, you mean?
yeah, and is
Oh,
this an idea
okay.
that comes from literature, from plays? I mean, it'd just be interesting to know. I know, I mean, obviously there are particular cultures in the world where twins either are more common or are sort of
Mm,
culturally a bigger deal than they are in other parts of the world. But like they always, it's such an easy thing to run with as a motif in a work of art or narration or whatever. So it'd be kind of
yeah.
fun to see how they would.
I've always found it like I don't know how I feel about this. I feel like it's a little bit weird, but maybe I'm just a hater. I find it so strange when parents of twins dress them identical,
I cannot imagine doing that as a
right?
nor can I imagine experiencing it as a kid, which is one reason that jeans was so strange to me that they have that whole thing
Mm.
where they refuse to dress differently, even though they are 21 years
Wow.
old. And one of their romantic partners has said to them, I have trouble telling you apart. This would help me. And he
Right.
still do it. That's a little weird, I think.
Yeah. But it's weird to me, like, I'll see so many because, like, especially I think since IVF became a lot more common, the whole like twins and triplets and stuff just like exploded to the point that one of my friends has twins, but she had like a regular pregnancy, and she's so annoyed because people keep asking her if she did IVF because people just assume that at this point, right? Um, but it's so weird to me. Like, I'll see these two kids, and they're both being like Old Navy or whatever, and they're both dressed identical and they look identical, and I'm like, I get that y'all look identical, but I wonder what it's like for twins. Do they enjoy the fact that the other person is such a duplicate of them? Because I feel like if I had a twin, I would want to separate myself from them individually, like I am my own person, and it would be like, oh, you're gonna wear pink, okay, I'll wear black then.
Yeah.
um I feel like I would almost go to the other extreme where I would try to like be like, no, no, if you're gonna be a Shah Rukh Khan fan, then I'm gonna like Manoj Kumar. Just kidding. That would never happen.
I mean, I feel like you do have a twin and they just impersonated you right now.
Right? Yes, there is a parallel universe where there is my twin and their name is Mitu, and they are a Manoj Kumar fan and they despise Shah Rukh Khan. And they also hate Bollywood, by the way, except for Manoj Kumar.
Me too.
Where is your parallel twin?
Yeah.
Oh my God, is their name Matt?
No, it has to be a boy so he can be Seth.
Yes, you can have a twin called Seth. What does Seth do? What does Seth like?
He's gonna be like a finance bro or something, right? Like the opposite
Whoa.
of me career-wise.
Yes. He
Yeah,
could be a
no
finance
interest in
bro.
like culture, history, or anything like that. He doesn't like
Yeah.
animals.
No. I feel like Seth mansplains all day. I don't want to be friends with Seth.
Oh, that is awful. Please note, I'm about to have a new coworker named Seth, I believe. So we're just joking. Any resemblance to actual Seths is purely coincidental.
Yes. Okay, well, I think that concludes this episode of Filmy Ladies. Happy birthday again, Beth.
Thank you.
Happy Gemini season to all twins and wannabe twins. And tell us what your favorite twin movies are, and continue to hashtag twin with people. And we'll see you next week with another episode. Bye.
Bye from all Shashi Kapoors.